Oh, these boys, they aren't done yet, I'll tell you that.
How come?
Well, they're patient. They just sticking to the drawers, not taking the hundreds. That's the bank's money. We can trace that. They're trying to raise a certain amount. That's my guess. It's going to take a few banks to get there.
Well, Grandma, what did you think of Hell or High Water, which is a tale in modern-day West Texas, where some of the small towns are just sort of barely hanging on, and is about a couple of brothers who, after their mother dies, attempt to pay off all her debts on her ranch and such by robbing some banks in these small towns. So they rob the banks and they try to pay off the debt. All the while, a Texas Ranger played by Jeff Bridges is going after them, trying to catch them. So what did you think of it?
I enjoyed it thoroughly. The particular focus on the culture of far west Texas, up in the Panhandle. Midland is the most mentioned place since the targets were Texas Midland Bank. The culture, the people, the attitudes. I thought the movie makers got it perfectly. They were very, very authentic. For those of us who live in Texas but don't live in West Texas, we still recognized our brethren out there. And that is the flattest land in the world, people. If you want to see West Texas flatland, go and see this film. The complicated plot, unless you knew what it was.
It was complicated? Why was it complicated?
Well, if you go into the film cold, not knowing, what the deal is here, it takes you have to pay attention. It takes a little figuring out, okay, why are these brothers doing this? Little clues are, dropped.
I don't think that at all. I think they make it pretty clear what they're trying to do at the beginning. Don't you think? Why was it a good movie?
Why was it good? The acting was good. The dialogue was good. The West Texas culture, the scenery, all of that was very, very clear. The plot was interesting. I couldn't find anything to be negative about. I thought it was great. I don't know what non-Texans will think of it, but I certainly appreciated it. It's not the part of Texas that I would particularly want to live in, but the scenery is pretty boring. It's so flat. It's the flattest land in the world. What did you think?
Well, before I get to that, actually one point you made right just a moment ago is sort of an interesting point. I don't know how wide the release is on this movie. It's showing in just a handful of theaters here in Austin. I don't know how wide a release it has around the rest of the United States, and certainly I don't think it's been released outside of the United States.
Well, it should be. It's really, really good. Now, why are they not spreading it out?
It's an independent feature, and it's just sort of starting out. So, it's getting wider, but again, it doesn't have a wide one. So, how many people who see our videos actually have an opportunity to see this movie? I don't know, because again, it's not in wide release, but they should be able to find it here.
Well, the lead actor Toby is Chris Pine, you said, and he's showing his acting skills more and more in the films we see him in. He was really.
Well, we've seen him in 3 films this year, so
really, really good in this one. So he did well.
Well, you asked me what I thought of the movie. I was not crazy about this movie.
Oh. Darn.
What's the matter, Grandma?
Well,
Uh,
I like it when you agree with me, you know.
well, I was not crazy about it. I mean, it had some Texas humor, which was sort of humorous. I didn't really think the story was very interesting. I wasn't that interested in the characters. Again, the Jeff Bridges character was probably the most interesting character to me. To some people out there, they might find this film interesting. Again, like Texas, like it's some foreign country or something like that, and these Texans, oh, they're strange characters. But again, I don't know. I just really didn't get into it. I didn't really think it was that interesting. I didn't much care for the direction. Again, the story was pretty straight ahead. It wasn't that complicated, but again, I just didn't really like it that much. So again, I don't know that I would recommend it. I mean, some people might like it, but I really didn't like it. So sorry.
Well, darn. But you really got the feel for the real bad guy here was the bank
Yeah.
that was putting the screws to everybody in these little towns who struggling along, and they had to have some money, and the bank would loan them the money, and then when they couldn't pay it back because things were going so bad, took their land.
Well, this wasn't really a Robin Hood sort of story, though, Grandma. The bank may have been doing these things, but they were really doing it not necessarily for themselves, but they were doing it for selfish reasons.
Correct.
And
Texas
yeah, I
Midland
mean,
Bank.
it showed, it was very, let me see, what would I say? Again, it showed, small town Texas, I think, rather well. I mean, you really got an idea of what it's like in some of these small towns that are sort of struggling to survive, and the people who are living in them and that sort of stuff. But it wasn't really about that. I mean, that's just something you sort of got along the way. Again, I didn't really care for it. I'm sorry. So I wouldn't recommend it. What would you say,
I
Grandma?
would. I think that it was a very interesting film, and well acted by both Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges, the main characters in the story.
I mean, I think the actors did a fine job, but they just did a lot of sitting around drinking beer and feeling sorry for themselves, frankly. I mean, there's just so much of
There was a lot
that.
of beer drinking.
Well, there's just so much of that sitting around feeling sorry for themselves and drinking beer and stuff, that you can take. How many times are they going to do it? Again, I just didn't really care for it. I didn't.
I did, viewers.
Okay.
I liked it very much.
You can like it.
I
That's
can
fine.
recommend it.
Okay, well, good.
It's not, my top recommendation of the films we've seen recently, but it's at least a 1 thumb for me.
Okay.
Not 2, but 1.
Okay.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Give it the thumb.
I gave it a thumb.
Okay.
Yes.